Positioning in Marvel Rivals is one of the most crucial aspects in this entire game. Whether it's setting up for attack side or defense side, positioning can easily make or break your game. And what I have for you today is the ultimate positioning guide for the map Midtown. Now, I'll be talking about all 3 points, both for attack and defense. And if you're wondering where I got all this information for the guide, I've sat here and analyzed a ton of pro matches and figured out what teams are doing what a majority of the time. Now, I'm not saying following this guide will give you a guaranteed win, but it should help you in making better decisions. I plan on releasing these guides every Saturday, so make sure you're subscribed so you can stay up to date. And hit the like button if you want to see more of these map breakdown guides. But that's enough yapping, let's dive straight in. Now this video is going to be divided into the 3 different points. Then we'll be talking about the defense side, followed up by the attacking side. Now when it comes to defending the first point of Midtown, one of the most strategic points is actually the Grand Central Diner. And you might be thinking, why? Well, you can easily destroy the wall by pressing and holding B on mouse and keyboard. Just like that, you have a ton of line of sight onto the convoy, one of these spawn exits, another spawn exit, and you can also see if anyone's trying to go up the stairs from spawn and try to flank around. Now, not only that does it give you like amazing line of sight, but you also have a health pack. This is a very crucial aspect that a lot of players, overlook. Now, having control of this health pack, whether you have all your supports alive or not, this gives your team a lot more sustain that a lot of players just don't know about. Now, our next spot following the diner to hold is actually going to be up here on the top left, whatever you want to call it, the piano room. Having control of this high ground means having control of where the convoy is going, and if anyone is trying to push the convoy, you can easily jump on top of them. Now, typically you would have a tank or 2 sitting below with the rest of your team up top, because having high ground means having control. And the second you lose control, it's going to be pretty hard to defend. Now, let's say they made it around this bend. They've gotten high ground on both sides, and they're pushing through. This is your next most strategic position, the bridge. This either allows you to jump onto the convoy, the people that are pushing, and easily execute plays, or vice versa if you're on attack, this allows you to easily get oversight on the enemies defending. Believe it or not, this piece of scrap metal is one of the most strategic points on the first point. Typically, you would have a duelist and a vanguard sitting up here to maintain height. Now let's say we lose the height, we lose our bridge position. Where do we want to be sitting? Typically, a Magneto or Doctor Strange is going to be sitting around here on the defense side. Having a duelist on top of the ambulance is always a good option because it allows for a ton of line of sight to easily go for picks. And it does put you on a relatively same level as the people on the bridge, so you're not losing too much high ground. Now you might be thinking that's cool and all, but where do the strategists sit? If you have tanks here, a duelist here, and maybe another duelist there. Well, you want to be sitting here at the bookstore. The bookstore allows you to have a perfect line of sight on the tanks, the duelists, the other duelists, and the enemy team so you know what's getting thrown at you. And you have a strategic resource, which is the health pack that a lot of people still don't know about in this game. A lot of strategists typically sit over here by the bus. The bus does give you some line of sight. You can see the duelist on top of the ambulance, the other duelist over there. But the one thing that you're not going to be able to do is to heal your vanguards. Your vanguards are blocked by the ambulance's line of sight. And if the vanguards have to back up, they're losing space to get healed. By positioning yourself here, you're maintaining that space. Second you lose space, you're going to be on the backhand of anything. And maintaining space in Marvel Rivals is one of the biggest aspects of this entire game. Now, the second you lose space, it's going to be creating a ton of pressure on your backline if you're playing a Vanguard, and vice versa. If you're playing a strategist, it's going to be harder for you to heal because you don't have that wiggle room to work with. Now, let's say that the attacking team overran you. You've lost position here, you've lost ambulance control, you've lost the bookstore control. Where do you sit now? Well, typically, the bus is going to be your next best option for high ground. Again, a little bit more high ground than the ambulance. You still have a decent line of sight, so holding here is a good option for an off tank. Doctor Strange probably going to be sitting down here as to get the full use of his entire kit. Following that, your strategist, of course, is going to be sitting in the back because there isn't a lot of wiggle room here. Having your off healer or healer sit here is a good option. Having a Hela up top on the bus over here or back here is also a solid option. Now, actually holding this part of the map, for me personally, I find it rather difficult because it's right before you cap and there isn't a ton of line of sight to work with because you have the bus, the ambulance, these pillars, so you could play in and out of these pillars to try to help you around. But majority of the time, if you get wiped, it's just game over. Now, if you're playing a Hela or a Hawkeye, or anyone with range, you could also play on the further back ambulance, or you could have a strategist up here as well. It's a little bit of a safer position, but do be warned, you are playing way further back, so it's a rather difficult task to deal with. And I'm excited to share that this video is sponsored by Control, a delicious protein packed snack or just a tasty way to fuel your day. Control has you covered. And personally, I'm all about their peanut butter pieces cookies. Seriously, they taste amazing and they fit perfectly into my daily routine. Whether it's a quick shake in the morning or a protein packed snack in the afternoon, Control's products are both macro friendly and ridiculously tasty. And now they've got 2 new must try products. First off is their Monster Cookie, a soft baked protein cookie loaded with white and milk chocolate chips plus crushed cookie pieces, and it tastes ridiculously amazing. And if you're more of a protein shake friend, they have a Paradise Potion Shake. It's a refreshing mix of sweet coconut and tart pineapple blended into and it's honestly fantastic. Now, Control's snacks and shakes are designed to fuel active lifestyles, whether you're hitting the gym, gaming for hours, or just need a convenient, nutritious option. If you're looking for your next go-to protein shake, check out Control's website using the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. And don't forget, use code DUCK at checkout to save 10% on order. But anyways, back to the video. Now let's talk about attacking on the first point. There's 3 different ways or paths you can do. The first path is pretty self-explanatory, and that's just running down the road. The second one is going top right, controlling high ground, and getting the jump on the enemy. Or you could come top left. Now, going top left is your third strategy, and this strategy is heavily used by the Team Sentinels. You might be asking why. Well, this game is a third-person shooter over the right-hand shoulder, so you want the most line of sight over your right shoulder because that's where you can aim and shoot. By going top left, or the left side, you have all of this line of sight and area you can use to your advantage. You can easily do peeks and things like that. By maintaining this top left area, you just have the height control, and it's very easy to completely dominate and control the map. It's just a very good strategy to go to the left side, yet no one ever does it in any of my ranked games. Now let's say we don't want to take the left side attack, we want to take the right side. We're going right side because we want the high ground instantly. Typically there's going to be enemy players sitting across the high ground here, so you can challenge them on an even footing. Then you can also get the jump on people sitting below, and to take control of this bridge, like I mentioned previously, that this bridge is super crucial. Once you have this control, you can easily shoot at players behind the back. It's just a very good strategic point to have at all times. Again, bridge is probably the most important spot at the first point of midtown, because getting around this choke can be rather difficult sometimes. Now let's say we're going to attack straight through. We're taking the main road. Typically, most of your team will go main road, have a Hela or some type of flanking duelist go to the right, or maybe the Thing, if you're playing the Thing, go top right to get pressure on. Then you're kind of just following the payload. There isn't a really lot of strategic value here, it's mainly just to brawl it out. Like I said, going left or top right is going to be your best bet, but of course everyone in ranked games is going down the mid because no one knows how to communicate. Then continuing, once you're at the bridge, of course we want the bridge high ground. We need this spot. This is the most important spot to have. This allows you to deny line of sight for the enemy strategists, put a ton of pressure into duelists sitting on top of the ambulance, and taking the enemy vanguards off of this high ground. From there, we drop down. Again, we're just trying to maintain all of this space. Once we push off the defending duelists off of this ambulance, you want to immediately take this space because this is a very crucial checkpoint. And of course, you want to take the bookstore because we have the health pack. Typically, your vanguards will be playing around here, duelists here, maybe a duelist there, and then your strategists sit on this side because they break line of sight from the enemy's vanguards, the enemy's duelists, and just have a lot more room to move around, and they're not being directly pressured by the enemies. That being said, there's really not that much to this portion, mainly for the fact that your tanks need to take space here, with your strategist protected here, and your duelist poking from the ambulance, and of course always stepping up when necessary. From there, just like a battle of attrition, who dies first. Now staying on the point of attacking, let's talk about the second point, attack. Immediately start shooting this once you push the cart. because unlike what people say, it's not time based. You shoot it and it will get, reconstructed. After getting this tech booth set back up, pretty much you want your duelist or your Hela mainly to be sitting on top of this high ground with your tanks walking forward. There isn't a too lot to this point. It's a matter of aim difference and everything like that. Your vanguards are always going to be walking up to pressure the people defending. Sometimes if you manage to cap the point super early and you know that the enemies aren't here at this point yet, you could have a Hela for say walk up to this point and wait for the enemies to come through this choke. As you know, when it's not capped, it's the 2 doorways, but since it is a custom game, it shows that it's capped. From there, it's really just a game of cat and mouse. You're trying to take the picks that you can. It's just a lot of pressuring. This point is very hard to take, and this point is very hard to defend. It goes for both. I'm not sure why, I just think how this map is designed makes it a rather difficult point to attack in general. Now we come to defending the second point. What do? Let's say that the enemy team hasn't really pushed the cart too far. Let's say it's about there. We want to grab the high ground of this ticket booth as fast as possible. Having the high ground means we have line of sight to here, and we have line of sight of there, and that back alley. That gives us a ton of exit routes that the enemy can be walking through, as these chokes are pretty small, so it's easy to watch over. From there, you would probably have some of your vanguards here, a duelist, most likely Hela, sitting up top. Your strategists are going to be back here, and it's all about maintaining space and pressure so the enemy can't push us back any further. Once the enemies actually start pushing us back, it's a pretty big snowball effect, because they push you back, they grab control of the high ground, they grab control of the side off angle here that looks directly kind of into our spawn. Now let's say they made it past those choke points and we make it to here. In my opinion, this is one of the hardest choke points to deal with in this game from what I've experienced and what I've watched firsthand, because the second you're pressured here, you don't have that much wiggle room whether you want to believe it or not. If you're pushed to here, typically the enemy duelists are going to be up top pressuring you down below, meaning it's going to be rather difficult to deal with. For the most part, it's going to be pretty cramped together. Your strategists are going to be peeking here, healing you with your other duelists around the same area. Of course, you could always try to get, say, a Namor or a Hela to try to come over to the side, go for some picks onto the enemies here. Of course, once you die though, it's this extremely easy to get ran over. Basically, the second you lose this chokehold, you pretty much lose this point because how easy it is to run up and contest you at the spawns. Now, if you are holding here, there's things to keep in mind. You have high ground advantage here. There's some high ground spots here, and of course, you could get over onto the sides and take some side angles. But for the most part, if you lose the fight here, you rarely ever get another fight unless you have a Doctor Strange to TP you. Now, let's say we made it to the third point. There is one spot I want to talk about. After this building is resurrected, as you press B on the keyboard, you can see that you can go into any of these floors, whether it be the top floor, the second floor, the third floor, and it gives you incredible line of sight onto the enemy. It's something that Cal showed in the Fight Nights, but something I was aware of too, but I wasn't sure if I should say it or not. But since he showcased it, I think it's fair to say that this is one of the best spots in the entire map on this point, mainly for the fact that you have incredible line of sight angles onto the enemy spawn. On both sides, that goes for attacking and defending, and it's a spot that you should be using. It gives you incredible line of sight as a Hela, or a Widow, or a Hawkeye, or anybody of these characters that have, immense pressure from long range. But going past that, as per attacking this point, there's some things to be aware of. You have the high ground position there, of course, watching out for that building, and this building once it also gets resurrected or brought back. For the most part, this point is rather difficult to attack, just like the second point, mainly for the fact that once the enemies get a pretty good wipe on your team, they can easily hold ahead, pressuring you guys at spawn, doing whatever they can. That being said, it can go the same way on attack. If you manage to wipe the enemies quite easily, you could have a couple vanguards push up, pressure the enemies at their spawn, so you don't really have to deal with them that much. This here isn't necessarily a battle of positioning, it's more of a battle of attrition. Maximizing and minimizing your resources to the best of your ability is how you push this last point. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, it's really just reliant on your ultimates. There are some advantages of setting up high grounds here, there, playing up there. Yes, those are apparent, but it's mainly, again, just a battle of attrition, using your ultimates when needed, allowing you to get easily team eliminations. For the most part, most teams sit here and hold, of course having the duelists up there, or even back there if necessary. Most of the time you're just going to be brawling in the close front. That goes for attacking and defending. I'm going to have attacking and defending kind of mixed into this last category, because it's pretty much just the same exact thing for both sides. Sure, there are some flanks you can pull off or try to pull off, but very rarely do they ever work against a competent team, because they'll easily see you trying to go around. Again, probably one of the best places that you should be aware of now is this building here. You can sit here, here, here. Again, incredible lines of sight for pretty much everywhere on this entire map. Now, once you get to this section, again, it's another choke point. The attacking team wipes the defending team at this point. It's pretty much game over. The attacking team wins. But on the flip side, if you're defending and you manage to wipe the attackers, this allows you to take space and walk up, and then hold a bit closer to try to save yourself some time. This last point, again, battle of attrition. I've said it a lot. It's just all reliant on your abilities, your ultimates. That's really all there is to this point. Again, there are some places, but nothing major. Now, like I said, I wasn't really sure how this video should be recorded, edited, or formatted. So if you have any ideas of how this video should be formatted, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you'd like this format that I have already, let me know as well. But hopefully this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form. If so, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It greatly helps me out. But regardless, I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.